Hello and welcome. This is Lucas Ed, your commentator today, and with us you'll be seeing the PRL TR2 Miami qualifying session. Just making their way out of the grid now, or out of the pits now, are a vast array of cars. Let's ride on board with Grumpy. Miami, a very difficult track. Lots of high-speed straights, lots of curbs that require some finesse in their attacking, and also some quite unbalancing sections. It's also kind of wise to note that, especially in Sector 2, there are not many overtaking places. So for the drivers today, of course, as soon as they go out on this grid, they're under parc ferme, so they cannot change the setups once they leave the pits. So they'll be trying to balance that sort of downforce to really attack those curbs consistently without spinning, against the straight line speed that they'll require to both defend and overtake in the race. So it'll be interesting to see, and I'm expecting quite a range of setups today. Notice only 3 drivers are still in the pits. So everyone wants to get out early, which is interesting. Let's see. Anyone ahead? Yeah, let's ride on board with Grumpy as he's about to start his hot lap. Riding over those curbs there, quite careful on the throttle, looks good. Very cautious, upshifting to 6th. Smooth, focusing on corner exit. And away he goes. 17 drivers today in Tier 2, which is really good to see. Grumpy really riding against the wall there almost. Slightly over the curb. I find that really upsets the balance personally, but his car seemed quite happy with it. Cautious but very smooth. I think it's good to put in a solid banker lap. I personally try not to go for crazy times on the first run, so I think Grumpy is also sort of adhering to that strategy, and it's very sensible. So X-Freak with the 129.4 to beat. 29.625, very close. And Hex with a 129.146. So these first runs are pretty close together. Tar Heels, the Tier 3 man, giving it his best, just putting in the banker. To be honest, these times are really good. Seriously, really good. If you consider that was their first runs. And I have found that between time trial and qualifying, the car is a lot sketchier. That's really good driving there from Hex, using up all the track possible. And Hardy Dar, the man with that pace, 128.848, looks really solid. Hopefully he'll be able to convert it in the race. I know that that's his key aim. Rusty hitting yellows. What has happened? It looks like someone may have spun in Sector 1 and has made his way out of, but I think the lap is already over if he was setting a lap. It's hard to tell. I just jumped in. Traffic can be an issue here. Ah, VTech. Anyone able to see this? He must have dropped it somewhere, but I can't tell you where from the track map, unfortunately. And Tar Heel's back in to give it another solid go later on. Let's follow Cher in the Mercedes this time, not the Williams. So we have to really hope he gets points. and back in. I think everyone's kind of synchronized. Oh, maybe Monkey Pill's on a hot lap. And onto that main straight. So, just for those that don't know, in PRL we have one qualifying session which determines the grid order for the next race. And in F122, of course, with the regulations, the tyres you use in qualifying with the fastest time does not have to be used to start the race. So you can go crazy with the softs is usually the strategy. And for sort of 80+% of tracks, drivers then elect to use the medium and the hard tyre with a one-stop strategy, especially with the 50% race distance that we use here. So that's why you'll notice that most of these drivers will be powering out a lot of lap times, potentially using 3 sets of softs in this one qualifying session. Everyone in the pit, and it looks like Monkey is going for it, but his battery's so low, so I doubt that is a real lap. Robsu, battery's low. Again, I'd be surprised. So let's take a little look at the order for now, whilst we await the outlappers to get to that start-finish line and start another flying lap. We have Hardy Dar in first with a 1:28.848, Mr. Hex with the 1:29.146, and then if we move all the way down to 6th, all the top 6 drivers are within 1:30, so they're 1:29 something. And then you have Monkey Pill with a 1:30.053. I'm already very excited just based on that. It's early days, of course, but there's some good solid times all around that sort of 1:30 ballpark. Right, let's see who is going to be setting their lap first. Grumpy again. I'll check there's no one else, but we'll follow Grumpy if so. Yep, Grumpy it is. Making his way back to that start-finish line. Let's see how he approaches this lap now he has the banker in 5th place. So not attacking that first curb and just missing the other one and being careful on the power. So easy to spin out there. Making his way to those S's. I say S's, it's very shallow S. More of a snake. And off he goes. Don't think the traffic's impeded him there. Trying to look at his steering wheel to see if he's gained time. I can't tell. Let's ride on board. The braking zone here can catch people out, and that curb I've seen affect a lot of people, including myself. But that was a really nice line there. Oh, slight lock up. Potentially braking maybe slightly earlier than other drivers I've seen on here, but it looks really good. And Roman numerals, that man with the pace. Provisional pole with a 1:28.130. But let's ride on board with Grumpy. It's nice to see whole laps, I believe, in qualifying, especially when they're going well. Nice, just kisses that apex. Keep second gear well. That seemed like a really good exit to me, at least. I'm not the expert, though. And goes up to 3rd with a 1:29.053. So good iterative improvement there. But almost a second behind Roman, who is clearly having fun out there. He'll be on his in-lap now, but must be loving life. And here we go. Let's pick up our 2nd place driver in the AlphaTauri, Hardy Dar. He's out to get pole once again. He's out to try and outdo Roman numerals once again. Oh, dearie me. 2 cars out from the pits. I really hope they get out of the way here. Oh no. Oh no, that is not good at all. I mean, that will go to the stewards. I mean, I'll send it to the stewards if I have to. That's really unfortunate. You only have 3 sets of tyres, so that is a third of your life used up and your time. The guilty party was a Red Bull. Looks like Mr. Hex, doesn't it? Maybe it was JH though. It could be either of them, both on the same sort of section. In fact, I think it was JH looking at the times, but I'm sure we'll find out later. Right, let's try and move on to some more positive things. Robsu moved over. Rusty looks like he has some free air. And there's an example of a car keeping well out of the way. Nice, attacks the curb. Already in third gear, goes for that smooth exit. It looks good. Again, I can't see if the delta time's better. And the battery's really low, which makes me think it actually might be an in-lap. But then again, he's absolutely flooring it. And he has enabled DRS. Let's see. Oh, slightly deep, but recovered nicely. And yeah, into the pits. Just sort of practicing there. Let's see if we can find anyone on an outlap. So we have Monkey Pill almost approaching the start-finish line. And we have a few runners that are going at the moment. Krusma not really followed him so far this session. Looks like... I'm not sure if he's going for another lap or he's going in the pits. Not sure. I think that was... Right, let's just follow with Monkey Pill. Here we go. In the McLaren. Nice. Power down early, keeps it tight. Turns in early over the curb. Elects to miss the second curb. And then the other one, so playing it quite safe. Oh, very nice. Tidy. And an early upshift to fourth on exit. Minus 0.4, sector 1. Excellent. Let's see if we can get the details. That's what I'm interested to see what people's top speeds are. We'll keep that there for the next runner. Takes quite a narrow line, but then that really attacks the curbs. Early upshift to 3 again, a bit like Rusty. Sort of playing it safe with the traction. Well, it's very fast. Already getting towards 200. So, yeah, clearly not running too much downforce there. Very early into 8th gear. Looks like a very strong racing setup, and it looks like he has the car under control. I think that was a spun out car. Not sure who that was. I thought it was an Alpha Tauri. Anyway, Monkey Peel into 5th with a 128.945. Solid. And his teammate there with the 128.897. Super tight between the McLarens. I'm sure they won't mind that. Let's take a look. Nico John in the pits, set at 129, just hanging on potentially for the optimal time, optimal track position as well, especially if he's maybe seen some of the earlier incidents. I think the pit exit can be quite treacherous. Cher also in the pits. See if we can find a runner. So it looks like Ray's on a hot lap. We're approaching the end though, so I can't say how well he's doing. Roman numerals is back out. Okay, yeah, and a yellow flag as well in sector 3 for good measure. Oh, interesting driving there. So Roman in sector 1, bringing it as wide as he can. Maybe track limits. We'll see. I think the way he's shifting, that was a track limits infringement, but we'll hang on and see what the first sector looks like. Oh, and actually, I have to apologise. Sorry, this makes a lot more sense now. So Roman is on his outlap still. Apologies. And that makes a lot more sense, because I was wondering why he was still attacking the circuit when he went across the white lines. There we go. So no one doing anything crazy right now. We've got Rusty going through sector 2 in the Alpha, trying to improve his time, but a very solid performance so far. He definitely attacks that sector 2 exit. I forget what turn number it is now, but that curb he really attacks. I actually try to miss it, personally. I don't like to even piss it. Oh, and deep again from Rusty. It's unfortunate, but he does recover it well. I think you can lose 2 or 3 temps though just from that. It's really annoying. Yeah, 0.7, unfortunately slower, but still in 8th. Oh, and yet again, we seem to always pick up Grumpy as he is either about to start or has started his hot lap. Let's have a look at lap number 3. Oh, that line was very narrow. I do that. I find that very frustrating. So he's 0.06, but with a vastly worse exit. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Still, time can be found. Heads up. That's it. Awesome. Great exit there from Grumpy onto that back straight. Is anyone else on their hot lap? Cher is on his hot lap. We'll follow him afterwards. So Grumpy approaching the final hairpin. Again, nice clean exit from gear 2. And Grumpy with a 128.997 breaks in to that 128 barrier, or breaks through the 129 barrier, I should say, and gains himself provisional 6th. What about Cher and the Mercedes, the tier 3 man, trying to prove himself? It should be noted the last 2 race weeks, a tier 3 driver has earned a podium. Will Cher complete the trinity? And the answer no. Well, no in qualifying at least, I should say. That's really unfortunate. It looks like both Mercs though very similar times, and I would certainly be positive there, because seriously, look how tight the qualifying is. We've got so many people on 128s and 129s. So nothing wrong there at all. And it's all about race pace. Maybe some of these guys higher up, they've put in a kind of low, a high speed setup, I should say. And they'll struggle in the race. Might spin, who knows? So here we have JH on what appears to be his flying lap. But then his battery is making me think it might not be. It's quite hard to tell because these guys seem to go flat out even on in-laps. Oh, that's a shame. Oh no! Oh, good save in the end, considering. Anyone else? So we have Robsu. Robsu on a flying lap, and Roman numerals maintains or solidifies his pole with a 128.073. Doesn't quite break through into the 127s, but a really good lap. Very impressive pace there. Tentative but sort of careful lines there by Robsu. Into first through the chicane. Let's see what the sector time is first. Meanwhile, is anyone else going? Looks like Hardy Dar is finishing his lap. Let's see how he does. Will he improve from third place? He does! A 128.511 and second place. He'll be ecstatic about that. I know him and Roman numerals like to have a good battle. I'm now very hyped up for the race start that's going to be very shortly upon us here in PRL Tier 2 at Miami. And Nico John electing to stay in the pits after that 129.007, I believe. And there we go, session over. A really exciting qualifying session here in Miami with the Tier 2 drivers today. Roman numerals. He grabs pole position with a 128.073, shortly followed by Hardy Dar in second place, only 4 temps behind. Bray, E46, rounds off the podium in third in the McLaren. And then below, we have Mr. Hex in fourth, Monkey Peel in fifth, Grumpy in sixth, Nico John seventh, YTX Freak in eighth, Rusty in ninth, and Robsu rounds out the top 10. And then for our lower down runners, who should still be quite happy with their performance in my opinion based on the really tight times, how close together they are. It's impressive. We have Jeffrey RD in 11th, Cruisemo in 12th, only 1.6 off. Tar Heels, the tier 3 man, in 13th, Cher in 14th, JH in 15th, Tack in 16th, and VTech rounds off the grid in 17th. Here we go. So the drivers will have a very brief break, and then we will return for the race at Miami in PRL Tier 2. It's worth noting that this is going to be a dry race, as you can see with the skies above. So it's going to be quite an interesting shootout, especially for those top 3 positions. And I think also some of the drivers that qualified slightly lower down will know that they do have good race pace. And so I'm expected to see a few runners making their way up the grid or up the order. I've also just noticed in the game that above the garages, it displays both the driver's number and their username, and I believe their country of origin or their nationality, or, well, whatever flag they set in the game, really. And that's pretty cool. I've never noticed that before, but I guess these are the things you get when you're stuck on a waiting screen. Miami, of course, with its inaugural event last year, had mixed reviews, but certainly was a big hit with the Americans and certainly the American media, and certainly the American money men and women. The experience does look quite good with the what they call the paddock pass, that VIP pass that's, I would assume, a few $100s at least, probably more now, maybe close to 4 figures. This is Miami after all. But yeah, it kind of includes complimentary food and drinks, and you get a great view across the paddock, across the pits, and onto that start-finish line. And it looks like there's a lot of events on. Also electing to put in those fake sort of marina-style props, such as fake water, fake boats. I think I'll leave others to comment on how kind of suitable or good those decisions are or were. But I'm still quite looking forward to seeing what they do with the race this year, because at the end of the day it was the inaugural event. It will only improve. I know there were a few hiccups, but overall it's good to see so much money being spent in F1, and it's good to see the sport certainly growing. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the drivers fare around here, because this is definitely one of the harder tracks across a race distance, certainly in my opinion. You really have to kind of attack the curbs to keep pace and win, but at the same time, any small mistakes and you are spinning out. Certainly if you're running a higher speed setup with less downforce, especially those sector 1 curbs, they can really kick you, especially when the grip in your tyres drops as well. But here we go, the race will be starting in about 13 seconds. We will be using a manual formation lap, so the drivers will complete a formation lap, so potentially the race start will be about 2 minutes time. Stay tuned here at PRL. This is Tier 2 Miami. Roman numerals sets off and leads the pack on the formation lap. I think while we're waiting for this formation lap, I may just run through some of the stats and orders across the championship, so hopefully viewers can kind of see who's fighting who at this very early stage, I should say. I mean, certainly even the player in last position could quite easily win this championship. There's so many races to go. It's a full season roster, so it exactly mimics the F1 season this year, which is really cool to see. Right, let's take a little look. So we have Rob Sue currently in the lead with 156 points. Roman in second with 114, hence why I'm saying about Roman being so happy with that first place. But then if we skip down to 7th, we have Hardy Dar in 7th, unfortunately with a 14th, 7th and a 9th place finish. Most of those caused by incidents, unfortunately. But he is a super quick driver, so we're very excited here to see how he performs. I think there have only been 4 races. I certainly know how it feels to completely mess up races from good qualifying performances. So I hope he keeps his head up. Well, I should really say his head down at this moment, but his chin up, so to speak. And I'm sure that the results will come. I think the worst thing is to get it in your head that you're going to make a mistake, because then you probably will make a mistake. You have to treat it as a new race. It's a new day. In third place, though, we have Ray in the McLaren, so some really good performances, including second at Saudi Arabia. And Grumpy, who didn't even attend the first race due to conflicts. He is, I should elaborate, conflicts of his schedule, not actual aggressive conflicts. And he has finished 5th, and 3rd, accordingly, in the 2nd, 3rd and 4th races. And that's really consistent. So a well-deserved 4th there. And we have Mr. Hex, who won with fastest lap out in Bahrain, but unfortunately DNF'd in the subsequent 2nd and 3rd races. So still looking good with 65 points, but certainly needs to try and attempt to finish up there again at Miami. And with all of that said, it looks like Roman numerals has made his way back to the start-finish line. Perfect timing. Let's wait and see. VTech rounding off the grid. Oh my word. I don't know if it's a curse I have. Wait, let me check. I need to go into the Discord, I'm afraid, guys and girls, because a lot of drivers have just been disqualified. I'm not sure what's happening. Oh, they're back. They're back. Okay, good. And 5 lights, and away they go. Roman numerals with quite a good start. Let's take a look, though. How's Hardy Dar doing? Not too good from Hardy Dar. Overtaken by, oh no, 3, 4 abreast into that first corner, and a lot of contact there. And we're still going 3 or 4 abreast into these into sector 1's chicanes and curbs. Let's follow it through. It seems like they're sorting themselves out. Nico John has spun down to 16th. I'm not going to follow because there's some close action. We can look at that hopefully later on with some onboard footage. And Hardy Dar, they're trying to make up places after that start. And who is that behind him? Is that Rusty? Great exit from Rusty, right on the gearbox of Hardy Dar. And Hardy Dar must be really frustrated at the moment because yet again a race is slightly falling away from him at the start. But 29 laps, it doesn't matter. I usually drop 4 positions at the start, and to be fair, don't always recover, but it can be done. And very sensible from Rusty, never makes any crazy moves. But look at that, running around the outside. Fantastic. And knows he has the inside line into this sort of bus stop section, I believe, as they call it. Really good driving, very cautious, sensible, plays the long game. And yet Hardy Dar was then forced into a much worse exit through the bus stop, which is amazing because then, of course, you can't catch up, certainly from Rusty's perspective. And now Rob Sue, it's almost a chain reaction on lap 1. You get overtaken by one, bad exit. Get overtaken by another, bad exit. But fortunately, Hardy Dar has enough straight line speed to make up for it. Oh, Rob Sue very close to making contact and having to lift. I think that saved Hardy Dar there from running deep. Certainly do not run deep into that hairpin if you can. I've seen a lot of people both in quali and races doing that, and you lose a lot more time than you realise. But let's try and see if there's any close battles. Is that what's going on here with YT3? Looks like he's made a move up from 17th into 13th, just overtaking TAC Delta there in turn number 1, keeping it clean, it looks like. And how's Nico doing? So let's check. Looks like his car's okay. Looks like there's no damage. And looks like he is now catching back up. Oh, very careful there. I think lifting to avoid the track limits. And then has that sort of slightly compromised entry, but keeps it nice and clean early into Gear 5. And he'll attempt to now hunt down TAC Delta in 14th. Let's see if we can now look at some details. Just check if anyone's stopped, first of all. No one stopped, good. So let's now take a little look at our winners and losers. So JH up 8 place. Oh, what has just happened now? I think there was some shunting let's ride on board here. Let's just take a look. It looks like evasive action was taken due to perhaps someone shunting another driver, and then they cut the corner and have received a penalty. It'll be interesting to see what the stewards think. And Grumpy, that man who keeps it clean, interestingly now dropping 4 places and going down. So potentially either a mistake or maybe someone ramming into him or something like that. Hopefully we'll see with some onboards after the race. Apologies for missing that. But Mr. Hex and JH have made their way up. It seems via quite an aggressive route, but certainly they're up there. And let's take a look. Am I missing anything? There's a little bit of action here. Cher going into the pits. Our first stopper straight on the hards. I assume with some slight damage. Maybe hit a wall on the exit there. Good news is at least he didn't drop too much time before he pit. And Nico already ahead of Tac Delta. So he's making his way up. He's keeping it smooth. Keeping it steady. And YT Freak also doing well. Really making up time. Trying to get past the tier 3 man Tar Heels in the Mercedes. Oh, and VTech and Tac Delta now having a bit of fun. I think VTech was already ahead. So there we go. But still, very good running here. JH really closing up to his teammate. I wonder how they're going to respond to this. Oh, a lot of squirreling there from Mr. Hex. And then JH potentially cutting the corner. And Jeffrey must be loving this. Look at him. He's loving the mistakes. And that's a lot of straight line speed there. A low downforce setup. Sensibly backs out. I think he felt JH may have done it. Is he going to go for the old switcheroo? Not quite. And Ray just in third place deserves a mention here. And look at Rusty. Up 7 places into second position. That might honestly be one of the best race starts I have ever seen in PRL. It's the best race start I think I've seen in PRL Tier 2. Lap 4, second place, I believe no damage, and I believe no dodgy antics to achieve it, just good overtakes. I mean, maybe I've missed something, but really good. He might be 4 seconds off Roman, but look where he started. What more can you expect? You know, what more could you want? And Hardy Dar, he's recovered into 4th, good to see. And YT Freak making the move on Grumpy. Does Grumpy have damage potentially, or is he just struggling a little bit on this setup? Let's take a little look at the tyres. Let's see what tyres people are running on. So Grumpy, Nico and Monkey on the medium, so you'd hope would start gaining time. And the others on hards. Certainly interesting. I know the game likes people to start on hards. I actually agree with the medium runners. Again, it's just an opinion, but I actually agree with the medium runners here because of the chance of safety cars. And JH with another 3-second penalty. I believe it is from what we saw earlier with that cutting across the bus stop chicane. The game does not like you to do that, and nor do the real life stewards. But still, he's in 8th place, and it's a solid drive at the moment. Nico, let's see if he can make the move on YT. Oh, a bit of what looks like connection issues. Hopefully Nico's not seeing that, because that is your worst nightmare as a sort of a virtual sim racing driver, so to speak. Because how on earth can you make a move when the driver is not where you think he may be? And YT Freak now attacking Grumpy. So this is a very heated battle. It looks like at the moment we've got that battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th. And 5th now, so potentially a mistake from Rusty. Yep, definitely a mistake, dropping to 6 seconds behind Roman. Roman, loving life, in the lead. And then if we make our way down, we've got that battle here. Grumpy up into 10th. It seems every time I switch between the two, I miss the overtake. And a wide line, going for that exit, but kind of misses the apex. I think, will he get away with it? Let's see, because I think Whitey got a better exit. Maybe not. Maybe this is a setup thing. And Nico just hanging in the back. He's staying in the train. He's clearly got a fast setup. Here he goes. Oh no, what has happened? There is a Red Bull in the wall. And what's going on? I'm not sure. But Nico John, is he going to make the move? This is really good driving. And Whitey sensibly knows that if he stays on the inside of the bus stop, that's it. Nico is never going to go around the outside. That will be suicide. Backs off. And it looks like Whitey then gets a good exit. Yeah, it works so well defending there because you almost guarantee you'll get a great exit from the bus stop compared to the other driver because their line is completely compromised. And then that just means it's at least one lap of reprieve. Let's ping back up. So Robsu and Hardy Dar, a battle for fourth. The Alpha Tauri against the Haas. And who's spun? Is it Nico? Oh, that's so frustrating. I spin there all the time in time trial. I spin there. That's my most common place. I don't know why, but on exit, you kind of put the power down too early, maybe upshift a bit late. I don't know really. I'm not an expert, but it happens. That's really unfortunate. The good news is though, straight into the pit. And I reckon Cher may have done the same thing before his DNF, which is really unfortunate for him, of course. No need to gloss over any of that. Well, I should gloss over it really. That's what I'm saying. Ray has overtaken Rusty. We've caught the overtake. What will Rusty do though? I mean, already he's compromised with this line and he yields. Sensible. So Ray up into second, but Rusty still doing a great job. And we've got Grumpy and JH with Grumpy, JH and Monkey Pill on the medium tyres. And it looks like Mr. Hex and JH made contact. Oh, what just happened here? Grumpy has spun. What has happened? He's in the wall. Kuzma having to drive through him. And Grumpy has now turned his car around. Does he have damage? That's really unfortunate. Yes, he does. That looks to me like a pit. And a 5-second penalty there for recovering a car from a spin. Certainly, again, Codemasters, not sure why you can't tell that the guy is really below on his sector time and has just spun. Certainly that penalty will be overturned, I have no doubt. But regardless, it is very unfortunate. And it looks like there's no safety car, just a yellow. Oh, who else has spun? Who's this? Is this VTEC? VTEC has spun. And it's on that infamous last hairpin exit again. So a few mistakes starting to creep in. Maybe the tyres are wearing. And Joe Egg saying about wait to see how New York goes. I dread to even think about the circuit layout there, I have to say. Mr. Hex has retired. Do you know, I think the Red Bulls, they collided on that key DRS straight in Sector 2. Or I should say the exit of Sector 1 into Sector 2. That's what I saw, but I might be wrong. Unfortunately, I just missed it. There's so much action going on in this race. Look at this. Hardy Dar now down into 5th. Battling, though, with the hard tyre against Monkey Pill, who potentially is actually stuck a little bit behind Robsu. But Robsu has done a great job to make his way up to 3rd. That's super impressive. I mean, let's switch back to the position changes. So up 7. Really, really good. Excuse me, I know his qualifying was disappointing, but that's a great performance. I feel like just cycling through the grid, there's always something going on here at PRL, Tier 2, Miami. Who's that having a bad exit? Is it Hardy Dart? He's ghosted. And interestingly, it looks like a lot of respect was given by his teammates. So let's follow on board. And YT Freak makes the move against Cruz. But let's just check this one out. And yep, simple DRS move. But it looks like there's a lot of things going on here with Hardy Dar certainly having a massive battle. And it's allowed Ray now to pull away. So I feel like from a tactical perspective, there's a lot of squabbling going on. And then as one or two cars slip through the net, so to speak, they are then just escaping and having a really comfortable time. There is pretty much no better feeling as a driver from sort of a points perspective than when this sort of thing happens. Because bar a safety car or your own clumsy mistakes, you're almost guaranteeing a solid points haul here. I mean, look at the gap. They can pit and come out. Let's take a look. 9, 10, round about 8th place, 7th place, I think. Maybe 8th place. Pretty tidy, has to be said. It's only lap 8 after all. A 29 lap race here at Miami. A 50% race distance, of course. And Monkey Pill in 5th. He is half a second down on Hardy Dar. And look at that, more squabbling. So these two are switching around again. Let's see, does he make it up? I know Monkey Pill definitely has a higher speed setup, so running a bit less downforce, a bit less wing. Really attacks the curb and gets a nice exit in the end, but loses the time he gained, I think, because of gut running on that curb. Still is in DRS range. It's really hotting up. And YT Freak against Jeffrey. Oh, Jeffrey, what's happened? He's run wide, but I'm not sure why. It looked like he didn't brake too late. Maybe he locked up though and just played it safe. Really unfortunate. Still, he's in 10th. And again, I don't like to highlight on the DNFs too much, but we have JH who has now retired along with Mr. Hex. Certainly it will be interesting to see in the chat what is going on. Perhaps we'll see answers. And to answer your questions, this is Lucasade commentating here. This is PRL Tier 2, and it's the race here at Miami. Still quite a tight race. We are noticing gaps starting to appear, but really we've been blessed with these fantastic opening few laps here at Miami. Really good overtaking, spoilt for choice. I could barely keep up on the camera if I'm honest with you. Jeffrey driving quite slow on the exit there, probably making it, taking it safely and tentatively after the earlier sort of incidents, which I can understand. At the end of the day, you look at those DNFs, 14th place is currently your worst finish. You can spin as many times as you like as long as you don't DNF, right? So taking it quite easy. And I wonder when our runners will pit. Most starting on the hard tyre, so I'd expect around lap 16 to 19, or maybe a bit beyond in fact. The medium runners potentially more like lap 16. But yeah, let's kind of wait and see how this race evolves here. And Joeg just mentioning about the New York race and how the surface will not be as smooth. I think potentially to counter that, it may well be that kind of the F1 group decides that they have to resurface all of the roads that F1 will race on. I'm not an expert, nor have I ever been to New York actually, but from what I've seen in the pictures, I don't think most of the road surfaces will be up to the standards of an F1 race. It'll be interesting to see what they do. To be fair though, there is the E pre-race, isn't there, in London, which has pretty shocking roads, although I'm biased. So yeah, interesting times. And Hardy Dar, he's been in a battle the entire race. His heart must be pumping, the adrenaline must be coursing through his veins. And here we go, now making a move on Robsu, really recovering things. Will he brake late, or will he get that just right? Nice, rides it on the curb, respectful, good move. And is Robsu making it back though? He is. Seems like Hardy Dar does struggle with that last corner unfortunately, but hooks it up well elsewhere in the lap. So a bit of cat and mouse. A good battle here. Let's move down the order. I think we've seen this enough for now. We'll wait for the back straight. That gives us maybe 20 seconds. So Monkey Poo in 5th. He slightly lost ground, potentially a mistake, and he is now on 10 lap old mediums. So it'll be interesting to see how he performs. Certainly not bad. And then we have the other two medium runs I think have already pit with mistakes or DNF. So Mr. Hex with the DNF and Nico with the crash. So Monkey Poo is the last of the mediums that's sort of still standing, so to speak, in terms of having a, in quotes on quotes, kind of flawless race from an incident perspective. But let's go back to Hardy Dar in 4th. Not quite enough. I do believe Robsu has a slightly faster setup. And running a little bit deep there, Hardy Dar. So much craving there for that 3rd position, that podium. But still, plenty of laps to go here. Takes a shallower line than Robsu. And slightly misses the apex, plays it a little bit safer, I would say. I think Robsu might even have slightly kissed the wall, albeit with the side of his wheels, so no problem. And yeah, you can see Hardy Dar making up time even before the DRS zone. So a slightly better exit, and I believe higher top end. Slight lock up though. So yeah, this battle's really evolving. But let's make our way back through the order. So Rusty in 6th, made up so many places at the start, but seems to kind of have stabilised himself in 6th position. Running a really good race. Tar Heels in 7th, the tier 3 man, very impressive. Up to 7th. Let's have a look. So yeah, up 6 places. Really good. Really, really good. And YT3 after that awful opening lap, has completely recovered it. Right back where he started. That's super positive driving there. And VTech up 8 as well. Now, of course, there are 3 DNF drivers, but still, up 8 positions. It's really good. It's quite interesting to see how many drivers have maintained... Oh no, Hardy Dar! He spun! He is spun on the exit of that turn that ends Sector 1 onto this main straight, probably the most common overtaking opportunity, along with the back straight in Sector 3. And Tar Heels says thank you very much. Weirdly, Hardy Dar gets that DRS from all those many seconds ago when he span, and sensibly backs off early there. That's a little bit deep. And Tar Heels up into 6th now, and really close to Rusty. Another great performance. I'm being asked by the audience about the fact, am I looking forward to the Miami race? I have mixed feelings because I know I can string a good lap together. Certainly single player and time trial, I do have pretty good pace, I would say. I'm not trying to sound big-headed. I'm nowhere near the premiers or the tier 1s. Absolutely nowhere near. But I have pace. However, I can't seem to string it together. Sometimes in the qualies in PRL for whatever reason. And then for the race, my main worry is spinning. I have not yet completed a race on this track at 50% without having at least one minor incident. So whether that's just slightly kissing the wall and getting a bit of front wing damage, or spinning on the last corner is my main one, but I'd normally save it from actually hitting the wall. So yeah, I'm actually quite worried. I feel like, a bit like Imola, the only chance I have is if I build up a gap with a bit of luck. To kind of account for the mistakes, but we'll see. It's really interesting, and of course the tier 3 race follows, and many of the audience in this tier 2 race and myself will be taking part, so stay tuned. And Tac Delta, who's currently in 12th, will be your wonderful commentator for that event here on this Twitch channel. Nico in 13th. He's had a race to forget so far, I think that's safe to say, but he's still going. Early upshifts now, so playing it super safe, trying to get confident with the car. Quite a nice exit there from Nico John. Awesome. Look at that, really making up time even before the DRS zone. And looks like he has a very fast package. He might even be running sort of 2-2 wings or 0-2 wings compared to Tac, certainly. But there's definitely a differential there. Grumpy in 14th. It's really unfortunate how this race kind of fell away from him. I didn't see the initial event that kind of triggered the cascade, but I know it involved a driver cutting the bus stop, and I think it may have involved something else as well. Roman going for the lap on Grumpy, unfortunately. Roman, we've not really looked at him too much because he seems to have made no mistakes, just racing out there, being smooth, and has seemingly earned his 12-second gap to second place rival Ray in the McLaren, who has managed to pull away well, but was held up for a long time, which mostly accounts for the gap. The gap between the first two is kind of stabilising, which is hopefully good news for the race, but certainly he has it all to do and will have to try and overturn that deficit. I won't say the race is crying out for a safety car, not at all. I mean, look how close these drivers are together. Then Hardy Dar down into 6th, but he's back up there. It looks like he didn't sustain damage then with his spin, which is good. I mean, certainly when you spin on that last corner, if you can save it from the wall, it's kind of okay. And if you do get damage, you just jump straight in the pit like Nico did earlier. But I think his setup doesn't quite have the straight line speed. I mean, certainly there's DRS, but in this train, they're almost identical with straight line speed. Maybe very marginally quicker. And all three drivers running really wide. Oh, kisses the wing, Hardy Dar. I mean, one of the drivers had a reason to as they pit. I think the others may have just accidentally had that kind of habitual thing of following the other driver's line. Always risky. And Rusty into the pits, that's right. Let's have a little look. So Jeffrey down now on Charisma. Monkey Pill overtaking Rusty whilst he's pitting. And again, it's Hardy Dar, that man again. He is the star of the show in terms of the stream. Always in the thick of it. Now down in 5th, but I believe he's been all the way from 2nd at the start, down to sort of 5th or 6th, worked his way back up to 3rd, and has now established himself back in 5th. And we are halfway now at Miami. Halfway already. Robin still in the lead. It's interesting just how spaced out these drivers are now. It's really evolved. I think basically what this race needs is not a safety car, but it needs the pit phase. It needs some pit phase just to mix it up a little bit, try and get those medium and hard runners kind of mixing. Although it looks like with Nico, it'll be interesting to see how he goes about his job. Because will he realistically be able to make the hards go to the end? He's already switched, so he has achieved the criteria according to the regs, but that's a lot of laps on this track, and you really can mess up if you lose traction. I certainly tried running a long, hard stint, and it went horrendously wrong for me at the end. But my tyre management is not fantastic, so of course better drivers will be able to go longer. And Sensible there through the bus stop, knows that it's just about keeping it on the road at this point. I mean, the race win is almost out of reach, barring a couple of safety cars. Here we go, Hardy Dart. Back again, back to Sector 1 we go. Looks like he had a pretty poor exit, unfortunately, there. Into this sweeping left-hander that ends Sector 1. Now into Sector 2. Gets a better exit, though. Certainly runs nice and wide and early on the throttle. And actually, Tyhills may have really messed that up. I think he went too shallow, hit the curb and lost traction, which is really common. And yeah, Hardy Dart says thank you very much for that little mistake. And he's up into 4th. But let's see if Tyhills tries to run it. No. He goes for the switcheroo, and it's a good idea, but can't quite run it around the outside, so sensibly yields and picks up. At least it means he can get a nice exit into hopefully the bus stop and that left-hander onto the all-important back straight and that DRS zone. And I'm hearing, yeah, the corners I was mentioning being described as awkward corners. I think that's an understatement. For me, the corners I don't... Well, the curbs that I like and don't like, because it makes it obviously challenging and fun, are the ones where when you attack them, you can gain so much time, but you know how risky it is, and any slight movement will result in spinning out. And I think, for me personally at least, Sector 1, those sort of S's, those chicane curbs, and even this curb here, so I run over that curb, I run over the second curb, only slightly, and I have to reduce throttle to about 80%, and any more and that's it, you're gone. And to be honest, I'm probably too scared to even attempt that in the race. And you can notice here, a lot of the drivers are avoiding the curbs, because I think they are just terrified. Tyhills exiting now onto the back straight. I believe he was just within the 1 second window. Let's see if he gets it. No. Well, good job, Hardy Dart. Escaping away. I wonder now, will he be able to make his way up to Robsu? It's a lot of time to gain. Let's just quickly double check the stops. So only Monkey Pill, Rusty, VTech, Nico, Tack, and Grumpy have made stops. Some forced, and I believe for Monkey, just a natural stop. As I said, lap 16, a common time to pit from those mediums onto the hards. Doing well though, down in 7th. Solid. And Rusty down in 9th, but has already pit. Went for a slightly earlier pit, so he's really trying to push the mediums. That's interesting. Certainly interesting. And VTech as well. So it looks like this is kind of where the hard window opens, around lap 19, and they've just gone a little bit earlier, trying to maybe perform an undercut. Certainly it's much harder in this game because of the temperatures when you come out of the pit. In actual fact, the overcut can often work better with a bit of strong defense, which I find really weird. And obviously it depends on the driver. Some drivers I've noticed, they are able to get the temperatures up quickly. And actually one interesting benefit of running higher tyre pressures is that it does allow you to get those temps up a little bit quicker on the outlaps. So quite a lot of interesting things going on, but certainly most of our drivers playing it sensible and safe and sticking to kind of the routine strategies here today at Miami. Jeffrey's at a move. No, it's not. It's just Cruise coming out of the pits just behind Jeffrey, but onto the medium tyre. Positive. And Jeffrey has done 17 laps, so still needs to pit. So not really a contest between these two for track position, potentially, but for the actual race and the real track position, no. Ray in 5th. Looks like Tar Heel's got him. I didn't see that. Maybe Ray made a mistake. Apologies there. I must have missed that one. But Ray is coming back. Oh, that is a really quick descent upon the Mercedes. But he backs off on that last corner sensibly. That would have been a dive. Kvyat would have been proud. And Ray exits. Gets DRS. Keeping it nice and smooth there. And Tar Heels, what's happened to Ray? Oh, okay, and again, I'm not sure if I'm blind, but Tar Heels has just gone past Ray. So it's getting quite feisty here. Okay. Look at that, look at the gaps. I know that the top 3 haven't pit, but my word. Roman numerals, 29 seconds ahead of 2nd place. I know that doesn't account for everything as I've said, but still, ludicrous. And Ray, will he make his way back past Tar Heels? This great battle has resurfaced itself. And is Tar Heels going to try anything crazy? No. Oh, looks like Tar Heels slightly scruffier there through the bus stop. If we just flick back on board, he is over a second behind, but was that before or after the DRS line? Let's find out. Certainly Ray really did well there through sector 2. It's so up and down. I feel like Robsy will now come back. Certainly he is already pitted and so is Ray, so they are the happy drivers, but there's some interesting track battles anyway. And Hardy Light into the pits. Oh my word, just got it slowed down in time. Tar Heels electing again for that kind of long tyre running strategy. Almost a sort of Checo Perez strategy, I suppose you could call it. Certainly back in the olden days. The olden days being only a handful of years ago. Who has ghosted? It's a Ramco, which I believe means a Aston Martin. Is it connection issues? Why is he still invisible? Poor Grumpy. He's back. Goodness knows what happened there. But looks like no incidents. At least at that section. I'm not sure what triggered it all. And Jeffrey out of the pits. On to a fresh set of mediums. Looks like he'll rejoin in 12th. Let's have a little look. Yeah, comfortably in 12th. So Nico up into 11th, but he's on 14 lap. Oh, mediums, how awkward. Will he just pit for softs? Will he try and run it out? I don't know the best answers, certainly to this sort of question. I think I would pit on softs, but not until around lap 24. I think that's safe. So you're basically running a normal hard stint and a normal soft stint, or a very comfortable soft stint, I should say, and going for that all elusive and all coveted fastest lap, which, speaking of, Robsu has just set with a 1:31.138. And wow, as has been mentioned by the astute viewers of the stream, Roman numerals 13.5 seconds ahead on fresh mediums. This is a domination so far here at Miami in the Tier 2 PRL F122 race, driving in the Alpine. Sorry, yes, the Alpine. Sometimes I see those BWT sponsor signs and I'm thinking about all those old teams, like I think it was Racing Point, and I think that was the only team actually that had BWT, but still triggers the old memory, especially with those pink and blue colours. And YT3, look at that, making a move on that Really, really accessible, straight, such a great place to overtake. Rusty yields sensibly. Looks for a little gap. And it's shut down. So Whitey driving a strong race here. Nice fresh mediums. And a good solid exit. Good performance to recover from, I believe, what may have been a bit of contact. It's just so much going on that first, or there was so much going on that first corner of lap 1. I believe there were 4 cars and then 5 abreast. Not sure why drivers felt that would end well, but nonetheless, it didn't end well. And some drivers lost places, but he's made it up, and I won't even be able to comment on who really triggered it. It was just carnage, quite frankly. And then going through the S's, I've never seen so many cars through those chicanes in Sector 1. But they kept it clean, which was impressive. Or at least from what I saw. Oh, has someone been tagged, or was it a spin? No, looks like a little spin there from YT, but certainly when I shifted down, it didn't look like any contact had been made. So YT with a little mistake, but recovers it. It does happen on that turn 1 when you brake late. I've actually done that a few times. You brake late into turn 1 and the back end just goes. So I try to stay as far left as possible and brake slightly earlier, and then just kind of almost lift a little bit. I just find I can do that consistently without messing up. But when I say lift, it is the briefest of lifts. And Hardy Dar now down in 8th, but on 2 lap old mediums, so he elected to do almost an overcut strategy. From a track position perspective, it looks like he's lost out slightly. Now the question is, will the fresher rubber make the difference? I think time will tell, and the end of the race will be when we discover the answer to that question. Let's move our way back up the order. So Roman now 15 seconds, but only 14 point. I say 14 point only. I believe he came out of the pits with a 13.5 second gap, so that's a 1.5 second improvement. Just keeping it smooth. But Ray is showing he has good pace. I mean, it's hard to tell if Roman's just backing off or not, but certainly look at that. Great running, 5 seconds ahead of Robsu. Robsu looks like he's trying to hunt down Ray. So yet again, those two who always have good battles. I know Inns as well, who unfortunately could not make it today, also loving the battles with these two. So I enjoy these 3 drivers in particular, I have to say. And Monkey on the alternate strategy. It's interesting that he's in 4th and that far behind. I don't know if it's the strategy or just sort of being stuck in traffic or performance or just lap time, I'm not sure. I was hoping for more people to run the medium hard strategy because that's what I wanted to do. I might have to check the race records now just to see what the trend is. But yeah, we can report back later. And Hardy Dar, of course, the man who must have made about, what, 30 overtakes it feels like already? I mean, that genuinely could be an accurate number in a 23 lap race. He's in 6th. Just making the move on Rusty. So Rusty is slowly starting to fall down the order closer to where he qualified. But it's still a really good performance, and he's always super clean and yields well, doesn't do anything silly, and doesn't seem to spin. So I don't know if he's fixed his console or if he's upgraded his console, but whatever he's doing, it's working. It sounds like he's just put in the hours, put in the effort. YT closing on Monkey Peel with those fresh rubber tyres. Fresh medium rubber tyres, I should say. Certainly, Monkey Peel would not be a man many people would bet on, not because of his skill, but purely that tyre deficit. 11 lap old mediums against 6 lap old... Sorry, 11 lap old hards against 6 lap old mediums. And Tar Heels, again, going for the long on the hard, and then following up with a soft. And Nico, still running on the medium. I think this is the lap. If he pits here, he's going onto the softs. No. So he thinks he can make it to the end. He just wants to accept 11th. I can understand that, actually, because look at the deltas. I think he would have run on the softs if it was a competitive grid around him. But look at that delta, 13 seconds. So as long as he doesn't spin out or do something crazy, he can honestly drop 2 seconds a lap. And it's not a problem. Or, well, at least 1.5 to be comfortable. And YT Freaker Monkey having a fight. And YT gets the move done. Monkey running a little bit wide, yielding that position. So the inevitable has happened. And I believe Roman said earlier this week that he was not able to practice. Maybe it's mind games, or maybe he's just dominating. Certainly, I am not as good a driver in terms of pace as Roman, absolutely, and he always seems to nail it. So it's very impressive. Looks like he's just wired in on this circuit. It takes me a long time to warm up. I'll actually do a few warm-up laps after this race, before the TS3 race. Just 2 or 3, just to remember, including a practice start. Because my starts are probably the worst in PRL, quite frankly. So Robsu down into 3rd. Running well though. And look at this! Oh, and we just catch Hardy Dar spinning for maybe, I don't know, well, the multiple, or a multiple time. Sensibly backs off, uses that track map. That's unfortunate. Down into 9th at such a crucial stage of the race. Rusty promoted, VTech promoted, and now VTech hoping that with the slightly newer mediums, he'll get the job done. I think Rusty is running slightly more downforce as well, but the exit was definitely much better from VTech. It was a really tidy line, so it's a well-earned move and a good strategy, good recovery from that turn 1, lap 1 incident. And indeed, commentator's curse. But, interestingly, Roman has not been affected by any such curse. Too good for the curse. I mean, who would spin? When you're that far ahead, who would spin? Especially on the last lap. I can't name names. It certainly isn't any of these guys, that's for sure. VTech in 6th. Trying to get that move on Monkey. A very good final stint here from the Alfa Romeo driver. Nice, so a very similar line there to what I try and do, just staying on the curb a little bit, not full throttle, and then tucking in. And then really attacking that curb. So he's clearly feeling good, kissing that curb, and into this lovely sweeping left hand that you have to really ace with your car balance. A little nudge, which probably won't work well for him, but the setup is just there. Monkey Bill has no answer for this. I mean, certainly he must have done something to get back. Potentially VTech made a mistake or something, but oh, sorry, I'm confusing the YT driver with VTech. So yeah, VTech just getting a standard move done on Monkey. Nothing Monkey can do. I think Monkey against Rusty now, it's just a case of holding on. It seems like there's quite a big differential between the medium or hard at this stage, or maybe it's setup related, but either way, it's producing some good racing here at PRL Tier 2, Miami. Yeah, the answer to my question about who would spin at the end was myself, but I still won somehow. And that's not an insult to anyone else, it's just pure luck that A, I didn't DNF, and B, I had a big enough time gap. Although I was worried because a VSC came out and I actually lost a lot of time to the 2nd and 3rd place runners because they boxed under VSC and I didn't. But it was fine. Anyway, enough of that. Monkey Pill and VTech. So he's holding on and Rusty is very much looking to get the move done here. And Hardy Dar with a penalty as well. Let's just double check on the penalties because these can shock me sometimes when I see them. Nope, just your standard track limits, 3-second penalties, so nothing crazy. A very clean race from the Tier 2 drivers, according to the game at least. Some DNF runners, of course, so I'm not sure what happened with like their penalty situation beforehand. I think the Red Bull drivers are going to instigate an inquiry, I think, after this race. Or an inquiry, I should say. Rusty. Oh, late into there. Almost a minor lockup. Ooh, squirreling a little bit there into the bus stop. That's going to compromise him all the way down to this last corner. Super frustrating. And Monkey Pill's just keeping it clean and being quite consistent, albeit with tyres that are fading. Looking at the exit though, my word. A, the setup difference, B, the traction difference. Wow. I was actually expecting Monkey Pill to pull away. So yeah. Oh, who's run? Who's run? Who's that? It's a green car. Is it Tack or Grumpy? It's Tack Delta. What a shame. Really having a tough time in 13th. A very good driver though, and a good commentator. Again, it happens. It's not uncommon to have a couple of bad races in a row, unfortunately, for everyone. But 13th is a lot better than 17th. Seriously, a lot better. You're kind of looking at 2/3 of the way down the order, so almost top 50%. And Grumpy with a lot of mistakes. He has become ghosted at times. Do you know, I reckon he has a connection issue or something. So something is not adding up here. I mean, anyone in the comments, if you have an idea what this could be, let me know. I'm saying either A, glitch with the stream / broadcast mode, or B, it's a connection issue. Okay, let's just take a little look. So we're approaching the last lap now. I really shouldn't miss the end of this race. There's a slight lull in terms of activity, but we've got Rusty and Monkey going for it still. Will Rusty get the move done? And Roman there, starting his last lap in Sector 1, almost 20 seconds ahead. 20 seconds. He could almost pit, put softs on, and go for the fastest lap if it wasn't for the fact it's the last lap already. Let's see, so Rusty, 0.4. Interesting. Oh, nice. Nice adjustment and a good exit. Let's follow Roman. Let's see how he achieves a lap as we kind of wish him well through his last lap of this race here at Miami. Oh, who spun? Whoever it is, they've not lost positions, but it looks like... Is it Nico? Jeffrey? Jeffrey. Unlucky, but he's got away with it. So Roman, who is clearly happy, so is weaving, is probably hoping he's on stream, so should we just move it off? And let's go and have a look at Rusty in 7th. Let's see if he can make that move. And now we'll return. So Roman, he is about to cross that finish line. Roman numerals is our winner here at Miami in the Performance Racing League Tier 2 event. Almost 20 seconds ahead so far of Ray. So let's move back to the battle. Rusty not quite getting past. He has one more opportunity. Will he do it? Through the bus stop. Oh, an interesting line. I don't think that's worked. Slightly too shallow and almost making contact. I think that is exactly what Monkey wanted to see. But 0.4, did Monkey save energy? Answer, he's on 0. Answer, Rusty's on 0. Wow. They have both gone, oh no, Rusty. That was a late lunge there. That was a last corner late lunge. I have a feeling he would have just conceded the position anyway, so I kind of get it. I think it depends on Monkey's opinion there about what he would do, but still they finish in what I would say is the accepted, like, correct order there. So Monkey 6, Rusty 7th. Apologies for missing the others, but we could not get ourselves away from this action. Tar Heels in 8th, Hardy Dar 9th, Charisma just rounding off the last corner, sensibly upshifting early, and takes home the final top 10 position in the AlphaTauri. Nico with the unfortunate I think spin on this corner exit here, has done well to just stay in the race and is now in P11 and takes home a great result, all things considered. And that concludes the race. Tack Delta rounding up in 13th, of course, and Grumpy in 14th, who already crossed and, well, unfortunately I believe either lapped or just time out. So a very interesting race, but Roman numerals takes home the win at Miami here today. A very solid, I would almost say comfortable drive. It would be interesting to hear, was he tested? Did he ever field tested? Or was it just a time trial session? But not a fast time trial session. It'll be interesting to hear later on from him But regardless, the top three fully deserve the podium, and there have been some amazing battles. This has been one of the most interesting races, I would say, for a while in Tier 2. Lots of battling all the way down from 2nd to about 8th, and even 10th for a lot of laps. The race slightly stabilised, but then the alternate pit strategies and tyres really brought it back together. So, a really interesting race. I hope you enjoyed it. Do let us know. And yes, that Nico chant in the chats, 11th place. I think he'll be happy, all things considered. So let's just quickly go through our grid once more. Roman numerals taking home not only a pole, but also winning the race, finishing almost 20 seconds ahead, and getting the fastest lap with a 1:29.8. Impressive. I wonder if the Tier 3 qualifying times will actually be as good as that race best time. I'm not sure, for myself anyway. Ray, 2nd place. Great performance. He did well to make up ground and was patient. Robsu 3rd. Whitey Freak 4th. VTech 5th. Monkey 6th. Rusty 7th. Tar Heels 8th. Hardy Dard 9th. Charisma 10th. Nico 11th. Jeffrey 12th. 13th goes to Tack. 14th Grumpy. 15th JH. 16th Mr. Hex. And 17th, unfortunately, rounding off at the end, is the one and only Cheryl Shaft with the DNF. I believe 3 runners with DNFs today. But that concludes our coverage of the Tier 2 event. And as always, Tag Delta will be taking over the stream shortly to show you the Tier 3 events. So stay tuned. That starts at roughly past, so 9 minutes time. Thanks a lot. This is Lucasade, your commentator today.